I'm Elliot Moore. I am a member of the Tennessee Economic Council on Women, have been involved for several years with them. It's been a great opportunity. The one thing that I love the most about the council is how focused we become on certain issues, and we take those issues that impact women to the legislature and to the executive branch to educate them on things that we think they're important. And as a result, sometimes we have public policy that comes that's good and supportive. So that's really our role. So just thank you all for being here today, our hearing on violence against women, the economic impact. Thank you all, and I'm going to turn it over to Yvonne right now, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about why we're here, and then I'm going to introduce our special guests.
Good morning. Thank you, Elliot, very much. We are pleased to have all of you here, and we're pleased to have some very special guests here with us today, and Elliot is going to talk about them in just a moment. But we know that you're here because either you have some special role with this domestic violence against women, which also now includes sexual trafficking, or you're very interested in this issue, and so we appreciate your being here for that. The council members, we have 21 council members actually, and this is our 9th hearing, and we have 3 of our members present today. I'm Yvonne Wood, and I'm chair of the council, as she has said, and also we have Elliot, and we have Dr. Phyllis Qualls Brooks, who's both on our foundation and the executive director of the Tennessee Economic Council on Women. And we also have our senior research analyst up here with us, Bill Arth. And we're recording these proceedings today because this is a very important hearing. As I said, we've had 9 of these hearings across the state. This is our last one. The others, you might be interested to know, were held in Chattanooga, Columbia, Crossville, Knoxville, Nashville, Memphis, Trenton, and Jackson. Elliot would tell you that we've saved the best till last. When the council produced the first ever research that was done in 2006, looking at the economic impact of violence against women, we found that there was over $174 million spent each year in Tennessee. And as I pointed out to someone earlier, that's just the tip of the iceberg, because we also found that only 60% of domestic violence problems are reported. So, you can only collect data on what has been reported, so we can only imagine how much money we're actually spending. And we hear that. Where do we get those figures? Well, you will hear that today from some of the people that will be presenting. It's from the social service agencies. It is from the Justice Department, it is from law enforcement, it is from the court system, it is from the healthcare system. It's just across the board. This costs the state money, and it costs many agencies a lot of money for this horrific crime. The purpose of the hearings is to include them as part of the larger research that we will be presenting in October the 28th at our Economic Summit for Women. It will be entitled, "The Economic Impact of Violence Against Women in Tennessee." The 2013 research will also, as I said, include the economic impact of sexual trafficking, another crime against mostly women in our state that is really spreading. And you will hear from Margie Quinn with the TBI later today, who will tell us some very specific information about the study that they're doing on that. But we know that these crimes against women are not only an affront to the social fabric of our state, but it's also a drain on the fiscal health of our economy. So we appreciate very much the partnership that we have in our research, the Tennessee Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, and the YWCAs of Nashville, Knoxville, and Memphis, and other agencies that have stepped forward to support this important effort. Thank you.
Now you have a much better idea about why we're here, and I want to recognize some friends of this region who are here to welcome. They are, in a sense, our official hosts, so Let's start with our mayor of Washington County, Mayor Eldridge, Dan Eldridge.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Washington County. Welcome to Johnson City. And yes, you saved the best for last. I'll just affirm that for you. It is good to have you here today. I look forward to what comes out of this hearing. I look forward to reviewing the results. I'm coming at this from two different perspectives. The first perspective being a board member of our local domestic violence shelter, Safe Passage. And, quite frankly, that being on that board has been an eye-opening experience for me. There is an element in our community that I guess we would hope. We would like to think that it's not there, but it is. It impacts lives every day. And from my role as county mayor, I understand that there is also an economic cost associated with that. We are right in the middle of our budget, very close to having it finished. But one of the things that we consistently spend more on every year is the Washington County Jail. The cost of incarcerating offenders, domestic violence offenders, is not cheap. It falls on local government to take care of until those offenders are sentenced. Only after they are sentenced do they become, I'll use the term, wards of the state. It's an expensive proposition for us locally. It takes a lot of time in our court system. One of the things that you're probably all familiar with because of your knowledge and background in this particular area is the fact that when we have the offenders in our jail system, we actually have to care for their every need. Health care, which is, again, this year, we increased the health care, our expected health care costs for the inmates of Washington County by 12%. There are a lot of expenses associated with dealing with the domestic violence offenders. There is a real economic impact. And, for me, there's another factor that comes into play when you consider the economic impact. We want people's perception of Washington County, Johnson City, and Jonesboro to be a perception of a community that is open and welcome and safe. And we're doing everything we can to make it that. Having a perception or a reputation that is otherwise is an economic impact on this community. We lose because of that. I don't know of anything that that could affect the reputation of a community any more than domestic violence. So what you're doing here today, the information that you're collecting, the report that will result from this, I'm anxious to see it. Good information. It's things that we not only need to talk about, but it's things that we need to respond to with action items. And I appreciate your involvement and your time here today. And again, welcome to Washington County.
And from the city of Johnson City, we have with us Vice Mayor Clayton Stout. Thank you, Clayton.
Everyone here in the back, I wasn't sure if this was on. Good morning. I'm honored to be here today. My name is Clayton Stout. I'm Vice Mayor of Johnson City. Thank you for choosing Johnson City for the location for your 9th and final hearing. I'd like to thank Mountain States Health Alliance and the Carnegie for hosting and supporting this event. As I came into this meeting this morning, I read some information that I thought was very stunning, and I quote, "The National Coalition Against Domestic Violence and the Centers for Disease Control report that 1 in every 4 women will experience domestic violence in their lifetime, and 1 in 6 women will be raped. The information gathered during this hearing series will be used to produce a report on violent crime against women that will expand on the Economic Council study released in 2006, which revealed more than $174 million in reported costs caused by domestic violence in Tennessee alone. Those are some pretty stunning figures, and it is my hope that your hearing is productive and beneficial, and it helps contribute to helping this cause. Thank you for choosing Johnson City, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Also from our region, it's my honor to introduce Senator Rusty Crowe. A lot of you in this room know Rusty, but he represents Washington County, Carter County, Unicoi County, and special to us that he's here, very important connection to the council is that Senator Crowe chairs the Health Committee in the Senate, and I'm sure that a lot of these issues that impact women because of domestic violence will be referred to his committee for study. So it's important that he's here, that he's interested, just as the other officials have indicated. This is an issue that, by virtue of hosting this, we have it on the radar screen already. Rusty.
Thank you, Elliot. Thanks to all of you for coming. We're proud of our Mayor Dan Eldridge and Clayton Stout. Clayton, our Vice Mayor of Johnson City, is one of our young, I guess, kind of new to government young men that put his name in the hat and ran for the city council. So we're proud of those fellows. They do a great job, and as you can tell, they really care about the issues that we're talking about here today. I do want to welcome you to my Senate district. You had Dan welcome you to the county, the city, and now my Senate district. My district is, as Elliot said, is Washington, Carter, and Unicoi counties. And we just redistricted this year, and I picked up Unicoi County, and I'm really pleased that I got Unicoi County. It's small, but the people are so nice, and it's kind of part of the real America. You know, the one of those small communities that's in a valley, and everyone knows their neighbor, and it's kind of fun to get to know everyone there. So I'm having fun in that new district, in my new county. Welcome to this hearing. As Dan said, we're really looking forward to the information that we get that gets stirred up in here and sent to us in the legislature. This is the last of 9 public hearings that the council's had across the state. And as you know, the hearings have been on the economic impact of violence against women. The Tennessee Economic Council on Women was established in 1998, so it's been around for a while. And its 21 members are appointed by the governor, by the Speaker of the House, the Speaker of the Senate, the Tennessee Legislative Black Caucus, the Tennessee Legislative Caucus, Women's Caucus, and I learned this morning that there's a presence on there from Elliot and Yvonne and Phyllis, that there's a presence on there from higher education as well, University of Tennessee, Board of Regents, the private universities, and so you're well represented on that council. They meet quarterly, and they report to the governor and to us in the legislature, to the Senate and the House, to both speakers and to the legislative body as a whole. And Elliot Moore is our representative in, I guess it goes by congressional districts, Elliot and Yvonne, and so she is our representative in this congressional district. John Abe Teague is here from Congressman Rowe's office. This is Congressman Rowe's district, and I think Lana is here. Yep, from Corker's office. And is there someone here from Alexander's office? I'm sorry, Lana, from Alexander's office, and then Senator Corker's office, I guess is, yeah. And so Lana's representing both of those for us. But we're proud to have all of you here, and the council does such a great job. We do look forward to that report biannually, and the council, it's interesting, just to give you a perspective of the types of things that they explore and make sure that we're aware of. They explore the economic status of women in Tennessee, the impact of women-owned businesses, the economic impact of women's wages and earnings, the fight for equal rights in the workplace, the status of women in each of Tennessee's counties, the efforts to curb violence against women, and today's subject, the economic impact of violence against women. And the conference is going to discuss the relationships and the economic costs to us related to domestic violence, human sex trafficking, sexual assault, and rape in terms of employer costs that can be seen in decreased productivity, job loss, job training, those sorts of things. Increased government outlays, government, we end up spending, as Dan said, we end up spending so many dollars when these, not only to help the victims, but the perpetrators of these crimes. He talked about the cost of incarcerating some of these criminals that engage in this violence. We have actually had prisoners who have to have heart surgery, and you're talking, $100,000 or so. It can be tremendous cost to the state, and so from that government outlay perspective, it's something else. Healthcare costs related to emergency room visits, hospital admissions, psychiatric treatment, and other treatments, law enforcement, obviously legal costs, investigation of these crimes, prosecution of these individuals, and incarceration, as Dan talked about, divorce, child care issues, and substance abuse, all costing you and I hard-earned tax dollars that could go to much-needed programs that come up every day in the legislature that we would love to fund and have this extra money to help our communities with. So we thank the council. I'm really appreciative of the council, the TBI. Is Margie Quinn here yet? Marge, she'll be here. She's the assistant agent in charge, and she is really into making sure that we handle the human sex trafficking properly, which really pretty much took the forefront this year in legislation. I'll go through just a few of them for you to give you a perspective. And I'll tell you something that I like. This group, this council, the work of this council is kind of flowing into other areas. I learned this year through my son, who's going to Milligan College, that, and I was telling John Abe Teague, they actually have on campus a group that's working with people like Margie Quinn, and really they're aware of what this council is doing as advocates for human sex trafficking, to try to stop this. And so I learned that there are groups in our colleges and universities around the state that are really into this and fighting, to try to stop this kind of activity. And the reports, the biannual reports that the council provides us really help with legislation and making sure we attack these problems properly. Margie Quinn is going to talk to you about that in a little while. But just to give you a perspective, pursuant to what the council has done, we had at least 11 bills this year on human trafficking. And I'll just quickly go through some of them so you can get a perspective. We extended a statute of limitations for trafficking for commercial sex acts and soliciting sexual exploitation of a minor to 10 years after the victim becomes 18 years of age. We added trafficking for commercial sex acts to the definition of criminal gang offenses. We codified, in other words, we put into law the prohibition that consent is not a defense to the offense of soliciting sexual exploitation of a minor. Some of these gangs will bring these young women in, these young girls in, And I guess they get brainwashed to the point that they might say, well, I consented. You know, well, consent is no longer a defense pursuant to this year. We codified that it's not to be a defense to prosecution for patronizing prostitution or soliciting sexual exploitation of a minor, that the person charged was ignorant or mistaken as to the minor's age. That's tough. That's just the way it is. If you participate in that activity and you thought the young lady was older, that's no longer a defense. We enhanced the punishment for promoting prostitution of a minor from a Class E to a B and A felony. We created a new Class D felony for promoting travel for prostitution for commercial sex acts. Another bill stated that a parent or guardian's conviction for trafficking a person for a commercial sex act is a ground for initiation of termination of either parental or guardianship rights. And it's hard to imagine that parents would engage in this, but it happens. We authorized the courts to punish a defendant by awarding the payment of restitution to the victim or victims of human trafficking. We required that the legislature create, and the governor will appoint, a 19-member human trafficking task force that will be responsible for, among other things, developing a statewide plan to prevent human trafficking. And I'm sure that group will be working with your group, Yvonne and Elliot. And we added trafficking for commercial sex acts, promoting prostitution, patronizing prostitution, solicitation of a minor, soliciting sexual exploitation of a minor, and exploitation of a minor by electronic means to the list of criminal acts that can constitute unlawful debts. And then lastly, we amended the definition of custodian to include a person who physically possesses and controls a child, so that the child controlled by the trafficker can come under the protection of Child Protective Services. So you can imagine, we had to pass all this legislation pursuant to a lot of the work that TBI, Margie Quinn, and this council has done. And as you can imagine, the cost related to these laws, when we try to pass legislation, the first thing that happens, it goes to the Finance Committee. How much is this going to cost in terms of incarceration, in terms of health care, those kinds of things? And if it's too costly, they won't pass these bills. So really, it's amazing to me that we passed this many pieces of legislation, which really testifies to the fact that this committee, this council is doing a great job, and along with TBI and other groups and advocates. And so thank you for coming today. It's what you're doing here is very important. We are making strides, and we really appreciate the Tennessee Economic Council on Women for the work that they do in helping us to guide us through the legislative process to try to take care of some of these really unbelievable problems that we seem to have. And I'll tell you, it opened my eyes. I had no idea we had this much sex trafficking, human sex trafficking in Tennessee. Margie's going to talk about it. You will be amazed at the numbers that she comes up with in every county. Carter, my entire district. I think in Washington County there are 50 to 100 cases. Sheriff Mathis is coming, I think. He'll talk about it. Thank you for being here. It's a great conference, and we're glad you're in Johnson City.
Senator Crow, thank you. That was very informative, and some of the accomplishments that the legislature has already have under their belt related to this issue. I mean, I didn't even know about all these things. It's amazing what you've done. It's very, very, very good to know, and thank you for being a champion. I was happy to convene this hearing. Yvonne will be back up. She will be chairing it and introducing the speakers for the rest of the day, but I'll be chiming in and not going anywhere. But thank you, and again, John A. Teague and Lana Moore, thank you for being here from the federal level. We really appreciate it. Thank you.